Hi everyone, welcome to FinTech Focus TV. We're live in New York at the FinTech Marketing Conference event, speaking to leading voices across FinTech, AI, go-to-market strategy, and financial services growth. Throughout the day, we'll be exploring the biggest trends shaping the future of FinTech marketing. Joining us next at FinTech's marketing event is Om Kundu from SaveAway. Om, thank you so much for joining.
Super excited to be here. Thank you for having SaveAway, and happy to represent the organization and movement that is SaveAway. I think the affordability crisis gets talked about politically, but there is a very human and apolitical dimension to it, and we've innovated a technology stack, backed with awarded patent stateside, in process across the pond, in European jurisdictions as well. And the goal is to really empower both buyers and sellers with an option that allows them to eat their vegetable while getting to the promised land of that important purchase that is important to them and the people around them.
Talk to me about the marketing strategy you guys have in place, or where the focus has been.
That's a great question to ask, and I would say that it's really about the joy we bring to the user. The fact that a lot of people find themselves being told, hey, don't go to that store or that because that's something that you're priced out of.
Yeah.
But if you have an ambitious goal, the affordability of it shouldn't serve as a stumbling block. You can create a sustainable pathway to get to that goal. And we're providing that pathway in a way that not only is bringing you joy, but the friends, family, and community that are chiming in and chipping in and egging you on, not just in spirit, but through the capabilities, the behavioral layer that we've built within the app that allows for collaboration between the buyer and the buyer's community, that in a very tangible way leaves the buyer with more purchasing power. So net, every active user on the platform is inviting twice as many.
Yeah.
So it's really that's serving as the takeoff point for us, without having to do any significant outbound.
Yeah.
People are just gravitating towards the platform.
Joining us next is Alisha Rappaport from Fitch Group. Alisha, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I guess first things first, talk to me about Fitch Group and what you do there.
Yeah, I joined Fitch Group about 5 months ago. It's a financial services company dealing with data and research. And I have been there in a brand new role, which is running their podcast content strategy and publicity. And so it's a brand new role that we're trying to establish.
Amazing. I guess as far as running the podcast department, brand new role, talk to me how you're building that out. It must be exciting.
Very exciting, yes. Fitch wants to has different businesses within, and so looking at really how we can build out the whole aspect of all the different businesses into one and bring it in to give that synergistic perspective of the company overall. So I'm tasked with creating a new group podcast, which we'll be releasing in soft launch in August, and September is the big launch.
Exciting.
Very exciting. I think it's just going to be a great way for us to have external guests and internals and showcase some of our internal experts that don't necessarily get that opportunity.
Perfect.
And then looking at developing the strategy around what we have as existing podcasts and looking where there may be gaps that we can fill to bring on new podcast content.
And I guess obviously podcasting has blown up in recent years. How do you think it plays into the broader kind of marketing conversations?
I mean, I think it's a key piece. I think most people are digesting content in so many different ways. They get it, whether it's video, whether it's audio, reading small, but most of the time people, I think, prefer to get it in a very short amount of time, because no one really reads as much as they used to. So I think it adds that value is being able for people to listen on the go, be able to get short content that they can walk away with, and then introducing the video content is another way. Is I think that's really valuable because there are the people that do like to watch. So I think, having the best of both worlds, but I do think it's a top content provider for most folks. So
100%.
key to marketing.
Yeah, it's really blown up in recent years, so it makes sense that people are building them out in each department at these huge organizations as well. I guess, how does this all tie into lead gen? How does that work together?
Yeah, it's always a little bit tricky because it's hard to kind of know when you're looking at the podcast channels. It just is usually like you have X amount of followers.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing is actually creating it on the back end where you have campaign coding and tracking codes that you're using that are linked to those types of episodes that your sales team or your customer success teams are using to put out there to share as they're prospecting.
Yeah.
And so that way you can kind of go back and track that whether it had an impact on the opportunity. Because with marketing, it's 7 touch points before anyone decides to do anything. And so you want, these podcasts to be one of those, if not more than one of those touch points.
And I guess it's really just driving the kind of value that people are getting out of the marketing department, especially as it kind of broadens out to include other areas.
Yep, for sure.
Talk to me about any potential kind of ties with AI, let's say within the podcasting space, or how you'll choose to implement it there.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm using it for helping to kind of look out for what types of content we want to focus on. I mean, obviously, as we know, there's a lot happening in our world these days. And so being able to kind of use AI to do that legwork to say, okay, what's top of mind for business leaders and what industries does it impact, and looking at how we can put that into our calendar. It's also going to be helpful as far as taking the transcripts from our podcast and creating additional content out of them, and creating, blogs or top 10 FAQs or from the content. So you can really kind of get different ways to repurpose content or, from what you're giving out. So
I'm sure as well it's been hugely beneficial having AI and being the first hire within a department, building it out from scratch and having that assist.
Absolutely, it definitely makes a huge difference.
Now we have Brianna Butler-Peterson from Allego. Thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm here with Allego, one of the sponsors for today's conference. I'm the Director of Customer Marketing and Events. We are an AI-powered enablement platform, so bridging sales, marketing, and enablement to bring everything together that a seller needs to execute on a deal. So starting with training, maybe AI role play before going into a conversation, getting into that conversation and being able to access the appropriate content at the right time, sharing that content with the buyer that they're just chatting with, and then getting analytics on that. So really the full life cycle, enabling the sales team for that.
Talk to me about the AI content creation a little bit further.
Yeah, absolutely.
How is that happening?
Sure, we're hearing a lot about this right now, and really excited about some of the new features that we are rolling out within our platform. We are now enabling marketing and some enablement teams also to create content for their sales teams right within our platform. So that could look anything like battle cards, maybe when you're coming up against a competitor, pulling source content from within our platform to create a battle card just like that. Case studies, also creating AI case studies within a matter of moments, grabbing maybe a recording that we have from a customer presentation, creating a case study with that AI-powered content creation. So really saving marketing teams time, saving enablement teams time as well.
How are you personally implementing AI into your role versus, arming up the sales team?
Sure, it's so many different ways. I just spoke on a panel here at this event earlier today on the AI-powered marketing leader, and one specific use case that I shared was around research for events. Previously, that may have looked like looking at 200 different websites, trying to get insight from sales, trying to look on LinkedIn, trying to go to our competitors' pages. Now we've actually created research agents utilizing AI that can pull in our ICP, what our competitors are doing. We've plugged in events that have been successful for us, and it's then going to do that research for us and bring those suggestions back to us quickly. So that's been a big change for our team.
As far as other areas of marketing that you see potential growth in, is there anywhere that stands out?
Not anything in particular comes to mind. I think kind of on the flip side, I've heard some concern that there are some areas in marketing that might go away in the future. I don't think that's true. I think that things might just change. I think we'll end up with a net neutral, number of roles and types of work that people are doing. It's just going to change in the next few years based on everything that's going on in the market.
With the changes within marketing, where would you say that you've seen the biggest change with the application of AI within marketing?
Content creation.
Content
creation, absolutely. I mean, the amount of content and quality of content that content teams can churn out is amazing.
Joining us here at the FinTech event now is Kip Russell from Spinutech. Thanks so much for joining.
How are you?
Doing well, how are you?
Great. It's been a good event.
Lovely. So I guess first things first, tell me about Spinutech.
Spinutech is a privately owned independent agency. We do digital marketing, so Facebook ads, Google ads, search engine optimization, build websites. It's a great company, amazing culture, really humble beginnings. It started a couple founders in college and it's grown to about 100 people across the country. And we specialize in fintech. We do healthcare marketing, and like big home service companies.
Okay, lovely.
And we have a lot of fun doing it. So.
And as far as your background goes, talk to me a little bit further about that.
I've been in digital marketing. I joke since the MySpace days. I had 300,000 followers on MySpace. I loved it. It was great.
Wow.
My favorite. And I kind of translated those skills into like marketing for businesses. And I really have a deep background in social media, but then now cross-channel strategies is kind of where I focus.
Talk to me about where you see digital marketing heading today and how it's changed.
The changes so much, which is what makes it fun and annoying. But I think this is the probably biggest change in a long time. I like to say, like, I've had two careers. It was pre-social when social media came to change the game. Now it's like the primary channel to grow your business. And then since like cloud co-working, like all the things last year, you've really seen the shift in the landscape. Meaning like a lot of websites are losing traffic.
Yeah.
They don't know why. It's the marketing funnels really changed. People are starting their research journeys in LLMs, right, or in YouTube or in social media, and brands are trying to react to that, but not freak out to that. Like, hey, where'd our traffic go? What we've noticed is even though they're losing a lot of that like top funnel traffic, right, they're actually doing okay in terms of their actual metrics that matter, like conversion, like total leads. And that's just because the journey's starting in different places. And then if you do your job right, they still come to your business and close. And I think that's where we've been focusing on and trying to educate people that you got to do more than just kind of the old traditional SEO tactics. You still need to do them, but that's about 50% of the pie. Now you got to focus on the other 50%, which a lot of companies, startups, brands have ignored, and now it's really the stuff that's going to work the hardest for you to grow your business.
And how do you recommend, I guess, for these companies to pivot away from traditional search engine optimization?
Yeah, we won't say pivot away. We'll say you have to do the core, right? So like that's still the game, and it actually really does work in terms of like still ranking well, especially when people are going to convert and showing up in LLMs. But the stuff that people want that are like AEO, GEO stuff is more conversational, and the LLMs are looking for authority, right? So I'm trying to put this in simple language. We're looking for authority. So like, do you rank on websites? Do you have a big brand? Are people talking about you on YouTube and LinkedIn? And then they're pulling those conversational thought leader pieces, which really can come from like a thought leader at your company. It could come from a big Instagram account. It can come from a YouTube account. And those are getting pulled into LLMs. And that's the areas I think a lot of businesses just ignored. Yeah. YouTube used to be really tough. People they want production costs to be, but you can do it with a camera. You can do it with like Riverside FM. You can do a lot of practical ways to create that content, and that stuff's going to be what works really hard when you're getting into more of that top funnel, mid funnel educational content. And we're just trying to teach that first and then help them operationalize that.
So as far as the biggest challenges within like the marketing space for leaders today, what would you say that is?
I think there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of freaking out over like the data's changing, and I think it's like, well, one, finding good partners that can give you good advice to cut through that. But I think two, I would say is like, this is a good opportunity to test and learn things. It's a good idea to go back to like the core. And then basically, I think the thing I said in the beginning is like the stuff that worked maybe 2 or 3 years ago is not gonna work. So you have to start to focus on where the future is, and that's getting a little harder. But the faster you do that, the more opportunity you have to beat out your competition that's probably going to be slow or not do it at all.
Joining us next at FinTech Marketing event is Marie Haynes from Evara. Marie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I guess first things first, tell me about Evara.
Right. Well, we are a consultancy that implements as well. So we go beyond consulting, and we predominantly work in the financial services space, but also with other regulated and high growth environments as well. So, and we operate across, I would say, the lead to cash life cycle of a business. And we, again, look at processes and look at different platforms that are part of that. So we just give structure and streamline that process.
Where do you see the growth happening, or where do you see, more companies popping up and more
Yes.
business?
Very interesting question. So there's a lot of change now in the space, and if we are to look at any one company that we work with, areas where we've seen most growth within those companies were when they were looking at improving their systems, not maybe bringing more data in or more leads in or more platforms in or even more people in, but fixing what doesn't work at the moment and building systems where they don't exist, or bridging systems and integrating them where that hasn't happened just yet. And that's where we are seeing companies experiencing the most growth. And that's also needed now because of AI, and for companies to be able to infuse and implement AI in their businesses. This is something that doesn't happen at the moment.
I'm sure. I guess with the AI topic then, where have you seen that being implemented the most across with your clients, or where's the real opportunity lies?
Yes, another great question. I think a lot of companies have the budgets now, and not necessarily even smaller companies, but especially when you look at mid-market, corp enterprise companies, they have the budgets, but are not entirely sure where to go with those budgets.
Yeah.
And maybe the first kind of ports of call is, let's just get an AI tool in, but then who are we getting that in for? What's our plan for that? And I know with AI, you can't really, and this is something that we talk about, that you can't plan that far ahead.
Yeah.
It's not like you have a 5-year plan for AI, because that's unrealistic. It just
Who
doesn't
knows?
exist. But I think looking at, let's say, your team's flow and workflow and their day-to-day, and looking at the real use cases where AI can be implemented, that's where we always start from, and that's where we recommend people starting from. Like, how can implementing an AI tool make your day-to-day better and mine, and just going from there. And it sounds simplistic, but that's key to not only implementation, but adoption, and also being able to grow parts of the organization and the organization as a whole as well.
And I guess just to touch back on what you had said earlier about AI in 5 years' time, where can you see it expanding further, potentially? Or what is it not providing?
Yes, within our business, you mean?
Within
or
your business,
yes.
where would you like it to go for you?
I see. Well, there are so many tools that we are looking at and exploring. I would love to properly see it used even more, and I know that will happen, but what we didn't want to do is to get everyone fully AI'd, if that makes sense. But over time, I would love for every team member to have like a proper AI assistant, an agent that does things for them and helps them and supports them across their work with our clients as well. But also how they grow in the business too with us. So I am thinking of a future like that.
Yeah, I mean, it can be applied so many ways. So again, who knows what direction it'll go in next. Joining us next is Vikram Maram from SMARTe. Vikram, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about SMARTe.
We are a GTM data company. We help marketeers and sellers identify accounts, account intelligence, buying groups, and a lot to do with data and signals and AI,
As far as the event goes and general technology, talk to me about how AI is being implemented within your company for these clients.
Yeah, within our company, we are thinking a lot about how do we build these cloud skills, how do we build these markdown files that can make each of my team member use AI effectively.
Yeah.
We're not really thinking about AI as a replacement, rather we are looking at it like an enabler for my team to do more. So our metrics are not like build an agent that will replace that job, but it's more like how can you reduce the amount of time you're doing on the things you're already working on. So that's a metric we're working with, and that's like, there's also an initiative called Company Brain. If you Google about it, there's a lot going on around that. How can you bring all the context of your company or your team and build that as a layer over your LLMs or whatever you're using, cloud and other things. So that's something cool we are working on internally. For our customers, we are trying to bring an ability where they can custom build signals that matter to their business.
Okay.
So a company can go and say, hey, I'm selling this product or this service. Now you might have firmographics, you might have other information about company, but for my product, a particular attribute matters more than the other. So if, let's say a fintech company is trying to assess If a prospect is mature enough to use that tool, product, we can do that as a custom requirement because not every company needs it, but you need it. And with AI, we are building those custom signals. That's something we're excited about.
What else would you say you're building those for your clients? Like, what are the areas of growth that your clients are focused on, these go-to-market teams?
Oh yeah, I think we are a data company, and what our customers come and ask us, especially with AI, is they want more data points now because, back in the day, customizing an email was job of few star sellers. Now it's becoming a de facto.
Yeah.
Now, if you need to customize every email you write, you need so much more intelligence on all these accounts and all these people. That's where the most of the demand and growth is coming from.
Amazing. And I guess as far as the clients go, it sounds like you're largely involved with the enterprise.
Yeah, our focus area has always been enterprises, so we mostly enterprise. Yeah.
Is there any areas of tech that you're looking to break into that you haven't necessarily yet?
Yeah. So people are talking a lot about agentic workflows. We want to focus on one specific aspect of the agentic workflow, which is like you could use our platform as a research agent, which means you go to your Salesforce, open your account object, and say, I wish I had a field that has this value here. Maybe if you're selling to hospitals, you want to say how many hospital beds exist.
Yeah.
Or if you're telling to a fintech company, what's their payment infrastructure like, right? So we want to give an ability to a seller can imagine any field they want, and then we just populate that in their Salesforce right there using AI, of course, and that's where the research agent comes into the play.
Okay, amazing. And I mean, it seems like you're coming from all of this, focus quite a lot on growth, but from a technical point of view.
Yeah, I mean, to execute that, I'm probably packaging it more in from the context of growth, but to be able to execute that, it's very important we build in a lot of MCP and tools and APIs and like a multi-source data sourcing. All of those are like the foundation pieces that adds up and brings that capability out.
I guess as far as your work goes these days, obviously AI has made things a lot easier in some areas. What's the trickier areas, or where are you seeing that it's not necessarily doing as well as it will be in future, or where it could improve?
That's an interesting one. I think every team will have to go through a journey to identify what's the low-hanging fruit for you. Because I'll give you an example with our company. We've never had enough resources to focus on those SMB and mid-market leads. A product can be used by them, but we don't have the sales engine or a GTM resources to address them. So what we started doing we created a agentic workflow, which just responds to those emails and gives them the right information so that they don't feel lost when they sign up in the website and ask for some queries. Now, that's an area I could experiment with because I had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
If anything, I could have gained. And we always put a, honest disclaimer that, hey, this is an AI agent working for you. If you think there's any challenge with the responses, please reach out. But that helped us, gather some revenue, which we would have otherwise let it go.
Yeah.
Now, that gave us a lot of learnings on, you could go wrong there, but I can't do the same on the processes that are very vital to my current revenue.
Yeah.
So that's the,
But there's
big
potential.
thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Big time. Okay.
That's all from us here at the FinTech Marketing Event in New York. It's been great hearing different perspectives from leaders across FinTech, marketing, AI, and revenue growth. Thank you for joining us for this special event episode of FinTech Focus TV, and we'll see you again soon.